So far, we've only reviewed one-dimensional arrays, but it is possible to have a multi-dimensional array. Here is an example of an array called rents that has 4 rows and 3 columns. The array is initialized with values for 3 months, January, February, and March. Let's look at the syntax for a multi-dimensional array. On line 14, you see we have the data type int with 2 sets of square brackets. That's because this array has 2 dimensions. The name of it is rents, and it's equal to, I started out with some values. Notice I use an open curly bracket, and then I have a second open curly bracket that includes the first 3 values for the first row, and then a closed curly bracket and a comma. I'm still inside of my initializer list at this point. Line 15 represents row 2, where I have 3 more values enclosed in curly brackets. Line 16 is row 3, and line 17 is row 4. Line 18 I'm using to print out the titles of each of the columns, January, February, March. Then I'm using a nested for loop to be able to print out the rents. The outer for loop starts by specifying the row at position 0, and it goes as long as row is less than the array name rents.length, row plus plus. So this will go from 0 to 3, since there's 4 rows in my array. The inner for loop has int column equals 0, column is less than rents bracket 0 bracket.length. Since the inner for loop represents the number of items inside the row or the columns, I have to specify the first element in the column rents bracket 0 bracket.length to get the length of the columns. Then I'm printing out the rents at the row and column position. Let's run this and see what it looks like. You can see that it printed out under January the first column of values, 400, 500, 475, 625. Then February and then March. In this example, I wanted to show you that you don't always have to have the same number of rows and columns. In this example, I had 4 rows and 3 columns. And you can get at the length for each one by using the array name.length and then the array name for the first row.length. If you've ever worked with an Excel spreadsheet, a 2D array is very similar. In Excel, the columns are labeled A, B, C, D, etc., and the rows are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. So each cell is referenced by combining the row and column, such as A1. In Java, we use the index position to reference each cell. So instead of A1, we will have bracket 0 bracket bracket 0 bracket.